Hello and welcome to the KD Ratio Podcast, your place for all things nerd. Tonight I'm joined by
Dylan.
Kyle.
Wow. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing great.
Yeah?
It's so hard for me to meet like that level. You're always
Dude,
so
it's-
hyped, and
Come on.
it feels unnatural.
We have
Just
so
try.
much fun stuff to talk about.
All right.
And I miss
So
you
much.
guys during the week, you know?
Yeah.
I miss you too.
Yeah.
I don't miss you
I
guys.
think about now I'm pissed.
I dread this.
I was
day.
about to say I
every
think
week.
about you guys all the time. I miss you.
Same.
I think about you, but I
I
act
will.
on it. I act on it, which is message you guys in Discord.
What are we talking about? Half the time I say something you don't even realize. You're like, oh, I didn't see that.
He is
It all-
horrible.
but it comes from a place of I am horrible.
Sometimes,
Oh
yeah.
shit.
We're all capable.
We'll
of being horrible.
we'll talk about
This is
something and then you'll like completely miss it and you'll forget to go
Spilling
back
that.
and look, and so you'll mention that same thing that we just talked about like a few minutes ago.
You met Dylan. Tell me you remember this time where I showed you guys a song and I was like, I'm digging this song. And then like a week later, Billy was like, tell me you've heard this. And he played the song. And I was like, I showed you this. And he was like, no way.
No, there was even like a game reveal. I don't remember which one, but in Discord, me and you were hyped about it, and then Billy comes in and he's like, "Did you guys see that reveal?" And it's like, if you scroll back a little bit, Billy, you can see that we did.
You have caught yourself before doing that?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the big issue with it, and I noticed it a lot, especially the other night. So when I'm on my computer, and if I have Discord up, the notifications won't trigger on my phone, and so they just make a noise in the background, and so I never get them.
Mine
And
does that
so
too.
It could go like a day or two before I check it, and then it's again. If it's not what I'm talking about, then I don't care, right?
And it's not important to Billy.
Just
There
kidding.
are times where like you guys will be like messaging each other all day and I'm at work, and then by the time I get home, I'll read through everything and I'm like, I don't think I can contribute anything. 5 hours later, I'll just let this one lie.
You're like,
I'm
"Fine." That was great, guys.
I'm over it.
Great. Have you seen this? And change the subject.
Let's talk about me.
Well, that's the
Wanna talk
that's the
about
most
me?
important subject, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about me then. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I think you're a strong man.
Thank you so much.
Brave,
Forehead's looking real shiny.
extrovert.
Yeah.
an extrovert.
Funny. Cute. That's cute. That's cute.
It's now on the internet, so it's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it
It's
works,
forever
right?
locked in.
That's how it works.
So we got a couple topics that we
Uh-huh.
want to dive in tonight. Do you want to start with your Disney's Haunted Mansion review?
Yeah. So I went and saw Disney's Haunted Mansion.
The one with Eddie Murphy. Finally saw that.
I finally saw the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion. I'm doing a review.
Instant classic.
I know it's
right?
a little weird that I'm pulling a movie that was released in like the early 2000s.
2003, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but I decided, I wanted to review it. No, they released a new one, totally unrelated to that previous one. And this one I feel like is more following the footsteps of like the Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock. Like maybe Disney's going through
Wow. Okay.
making movies on their rides again. So,
What do you mean by that? Like it follows the footsteps of the Jungle Cruise? Like
it
Like
just
format?
feels kind of in the same vein as that.
like same quality level and
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie. I loved all the ensemble. They had Danny DeVito. They had Owen Wilson. They had I hate that I don't know the main guy's name. Look that up for me, Kyle. But
I will.
they all did an amazing job. And to me, I haven't seen the Eddie Murphy one in a long time, but I would say this one I do like a little bit more than that one, or from what I can remember of that one. And I did not expect going to Disney's Haunted Mansion to tear up, but there's
Wow.
this part at the ending that it
Really?
it got me. It got me, and I was like, "Oh man!"
Are you talking about? So there's Lakeith Stanfield,
He might be the main guy.
Ben.
Yeah, Ben.
Ben.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, Ben is the main guy. He did an amazing job carrying the movie. And there was actually a few it's a Disney movie. It's for kids, of course, but there was a few scares in there that were
Legit.
legit, like jump scares and like creepy stuff. Like they had it never got too creepy, but just enough to be like a little spooky.
Like kid creepy.
Yeah, kid
Like-
creepy.
Okay.
Like the original Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it had a nice, perfect blend.
From what I remember, though, so and you guys can correct me on this, the one thing I really liked about this one over that one is this one follows the ride almost or really, really well. Like
Interesting.
there's the extending room with the paintings. There's the candle floating in the hallway. There's the expanding hallways. There's the doors that like move. And it like has a bunch of stuff from the actual ride. Like there's the ghost that's on top of the chandelier.
Does it look like what do they call that? The White House with the pillars, and like does it look like the ride? The
Yeah,
house
looks
design?
looks like a plantation, I guess.
Like southern
Southern
Yeah,
style.
southern
Yep.
style. Yeah.
They're in New Orleans in this movie, and yeah, so like they have the ghost who's hanging on the chandelier. They have they work it into the film. You know how in the ride, like they say, the ghosts like to go with you when you leave or whatever.
yeah.
They have that. So like
Cool.
the ghosts, when they
Yeah.
try to leave, the ghosts go with them. And so I thought this was closer to the ride than the original, but I don't really
I honestly haven't seen the
Yeah.
like the Eddie Murphy one since it came out, and I was
same.
maybe 10. When that came out 2000, like 2003, 4, or 5, one of those years. So
But yeah, I would recommend if you like Disney movies, if you like Jungle Cruise, you're gonna like this one. I am a little weirded out that they chose to release it now and not Halloween.
That
'cause
is
it
weird.
Seems like the perfect Halloween movie, but I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend people go see it.
Yeah, I wonder if they in 2 years update the ride to be, like to fit.
like
with
they
the
did
that's
with
the thing.
Pirates,
and put a new face. Yeah.
It was exactly the ride.
so they don't need to. Update
They don't
it.
need to
save
update
some
it.
money.
Yeah, but there's still things that they could do, right?
Yeah,
To make it.
But do you see
know.
Owen
Oh,
Wilson
look.
and Owen Wilson and what's that lady's real name? Laurie Strode from Scream or from Halloween.
Oh,
Freaky Friday.
oh,
What is her name? I just had
True
that up.
Lies.
Just naming
Oh.
movies she's in.
She's got 3 names, right? Julie.
The Activia.
Yeah,
Julie.
it's
yeah, I
not.
know what you're thinking.
It's not Julie.
It's not Julie
No.
Louis Dreyfus.
No, I know. She does have 3 names though. Let's see.
Jamie Lee
Curtis.
Curtis.
Jamie
Yeah.
Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Owen Wilson actually went to the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland and were
Oh.
like,
Wow, that's
like,
cool.
they were part of the ride and they were like the ones talking to the guests on the elevator part,
Oh,
what's going
that's
down and
cool.
stuff. Yeah. So
That's
cool.
cool.
They did it for 45 minutes, and the audience was staged members only, and they filmed the hell out of it.
apparently, I don't know if this is true. Apparently, it was unsuspected people that like were just regular park goers.
That would be cool.
Wow.
Whether or not they did it for very long is another, like if they only did enough to get some footage. But still, if you just happen to be that group with them,
Oh,
that'd be kind of,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and Owen Wilson did an amazing job. So did Jamie Lee Curtis. Danny DeVito. I mean, he's Danny DeVito. He's perfect.
The
But
penguin.
Owen Wilson, I really enjoyed, and it made me realize like he hasn't been in a lot besides Loki. Like recently, I guess he was in
Oh, Owen Wilson?
Asteroid City, maybe. But
Yeah, I don't know what he's been in.
it used to be a while where he was in quite a bit. Now he's kind of slowed down, but I miss him. I miss the wow,
Wow.
wow.
His best role. Is Armageddon, where he plays just some random cowboy.
Oh, God, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not his best role, but
Best role ever. Not
Best
Lightning
role
McQueen
ever.
at all.
I like the first Cars. I really do. I haven't seen the second one. The third one was, yeah,
Is the Spy one the third one?
that's the second one.
Oh.
I haven't seen the second one. But like the first Cars movie, that's one of my favorite Pixar films.
Ka-chow!
Kind of went under the radar a little bit, but
You think it went under the radar?
compared to other Pixar films, yeah. I
Had two
think it was
sequels.
immensely popular, but like what I mean, okay, under the radar is definitely not the right, because you're right, it had 2 sequels. What I mean was when you stack it up to like the true Pixar classics, people don't think it can hold a candle.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I guess my impression's totally different because like I have a godson who just is like Lightning McQueen through and through.
I guess it depends. Maybe because we weren't kids when that came out.
Yeah,
so maybe
definitely.
that's why I'm like Toy Story,
You know what? I
Yeah.
just
Monsters Inc. Those
This-
are on another level.
both movies, 2 movies I just watched this last week, Toy Story 1 and 2. and I watch that and I'm like,
Bangers.
it is funny because when you see it on like a 4K TV, so I always had it in VHS and I was playing it on the tube TV, and I was like, I mean,
Yeah.
I wore the tape out.
12 inches.
Yeah.
Like,
And seeing it in 4K, you're still like, this came out in the early 90s, like or mid 90s, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, this is so impressive.
I
It's
know.
like the first Toy Story was 95,
95.
right? So you're just like,
Steve Jobs.
wow.
I'm serious. That's what he was in charge of Pixar at that time.
Really?
It was before he
I did not even know
it was
that.
before he went back to Apple because he got outed from Apple by the former CEO. There's this huge drama because Steve Jobs really wanted to push for innovation, and the CEO was a businessman, and he was like, no, we need to keep selling the Apple II because that's what makes money. And he got the board to push Steve Jobs out. So Steve Jobs was actually a founding member of Pixar, and
Wow.
he didn't come back to Apple till like the late 90s.
I had no clue. So he
He was responsible for like Toy Story and like some other like shorts that Pixar did, and I think Bugs Life, like not the story writing and all that, but like the technology behind it.
That's pretty cool.
With Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that. There's obvious things where there's not so many artifacts on screen, or they just use like a gradient for like a whole wall that they definitely wouldn't do in today's world.
Yeah.
But like when you look at the actual character models, you're like,
I mean,
this is
28 years ago.
crazy.
yeah.
28
Dude,
years ago.
90
still-
Windows 95 hadn't come out by the time Toy Story 1 was developed.
And you got to think the
Are you
technology
kidding me?
was probably based on like 93, 94 technology.
Yeah.
Like it's not like
Because it was in development way
Yeah.
before.
I did see this video though where they showcased the like how far they've come. They showed like the dog what's his name?
From-
Spike from
yeah.
Toy Story 1. They showed the animation quality of that compared to this cat from Toy Story 4. And that when you see side to side comparisons, you're like, holy shit. Like the cat is almost indistinguishable from like a real cat.
Yeah.
And then you look at the dog and it like has no animated
You immediately
hairs,
kinda-
no,
Yeah,
and you're like,
it's
okay,
slick. Yeah.
Well, that's that point of like diminishing returns. It's like, okay, all of the development, you know, for the last 2 years has gone into like the fur, how fur interacts and moves, like,
yeah,
and it like when you watch it and you see a side by side, you're like, you can appreciate, wow, that I can only imagine how much effort went into that. But then when you see it on screen, you go back and you watch
Yeah.
this mid 90s and you're like, that's amazing too.
Yeah.
It's just it really is great. Or like, you know, the Balrog from Lord of the Rings, you know.
that
we're
honestly,
talking
that
like
still holds
99.
up though.
Lord of the Rings first one came in 2001, which means they probably were working on this in 99,
99, 2000, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy
Yeah.
to think about.
If I still to this day, like, there's not a lot of things that have aged poorly in Lord of the Rings. I would say the third movie, there's some scenes where you're like, okay, that didn't age as well, but like
The
the
Army of the
Balrog, yeah, the Balrog in Fellowship of the Ring, dude, when he's attacking Gandalf on that bridge, like he looks legit still. Like
Yes.
it doesn't look like fake at all.
I don't know how they did
I don't know. It was like mostly practical, and then they animated. It was also the lighting. It was very dark, so there was a lot of things you could hide.
Did they
you
use
know, and
miniatures at all?
I believe that there was miniatures involved. And they a lot of where the animation came from was like fires and shapes, but it wasn't like the creature itself. And
Huh.
so like they just did such a good job on that now like it almost is like looks worse now than it did back then because
Yeah.
they rely too much on the CG.
Well, so I just saw this documentary the other night. Really good. It's called Icons. It was on Spike TV. But they were doing Captain
Spike
America.
TV, wow.
And they were showing that, like, you know how Skinny Steve from the first Captain America?
Yeah.
So how they did that was they shot the same scene twice. Once with Chris Evans, once with the skinny body double. And then like the visual effects people went in and like
superimposed
every
his head.
scene superimposed the head like manually. And if you look at that, it does look weird because his head is big, but compared to now, like with the deep fake, that
It doesn't
kind of
as good.
look better. Like it doesn't look uncanny valley. The
Yeah.
uncanny part is his head is huge. It's not that
And
like,
I think it's more us knowing that Chris Evans doesn't really look like that.
Yeah.
I think that's more of the like that's weird looking rather than it actually not looking good.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at it, it looks really good.
And that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
that's
wonder,
really good.
I wonder if it has to do with, because, obviously with these big production films, they plan everything. I mean, the directors have to have scene by scene, second by second, detailed out before they ever actually go to shoot, right? And I'm wondering if in the 90s, right, you go, okay, I want to have this Balrog scene where, Gandalf is going to be fighting on this bridge and, this is the interaction. And then they set a budget for that scene. And they know it's going to require a lot of practical effects, a lot of CGI effort. So they set this, multi-million-dollar budget just for that 30-second scene and say, hey, we got to kill it. Versus today, where they think of like, okay, we're going to have an explosion here. There's going to be fire tornado here, and then there's going to be a car scene that comes out, whatever it is, and then they don't really. It's just really no more thought than that. It's just kind of it doesn't have like its own special budget. So when the CGI creator or the editing team goes to actually implement that into the film, they're not really specializing or spending any focus or effort to really nail the visual effects or the fidelity of that scene.
Yeah.
It's just thought of as like a part of the whole, right?
I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Also, special effects teams are, they're not given
Video editors
nearly
now?
they're not given nearly the budget they used to be back in the day. Like special effects teams back in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s was like a huge part of a film, and now it's like
They're just
because
editors.
technology is like getting
Yeah.
better, they're not like spending as much time on that, and they're not
Yeah.
They're
treating it the way
focusing
it
more on
should.
CG versus like
And I wonder if they have lost something in the sense of like creating an art piece of like flame, like versus if you base it in realism, you're gonna be like, okay, we need to mimic this shape or whatever. Versus if you're a video editor just clicking buttons, you just think bigger, better, more flame, change the color.
With that, I would disagree. Flame and water physics, because I watch a ton of Corridor Digital visual effects artists react,
Yeah.
and
They sponsor
The-
this show.
yeah, they do.
Okay, they definitely
We're
don't.
part of their network.
You're
No.
like, let's be
Let's
clear.
make that very clear.
But a big part of what they talk about always is like the leaps and bounds that are being made in like smoke, fire, and water physics, and how that is a huge focus of ILM or like the major visual effects studios, is to make those even better in CG and more realistic acting. So I think if anything, it's just going to keep getting better with CG water and all, and like fire. I don't think you'd lose. I think it'll get better, because back in the old day, if you had fire and you needed to like superimpose it, it was really hard, because if you took a small fire and you made it bigger, it acts different based on how big it is, and you could tell watching on the screen. Now, if they're able to get CG to realistically act like fire does, they can increase the size and it'll
It'll
act
match the physics.
yeah, because if you watch older movies where they do that, you can tell
Yeah.
that fire looks weird.
Or it's miniaturized
Mhm.
and they just scale it up.
The
Like
explosion
you
of the Death Star.
said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think that'll improve. I do think they do lose
But-
certain things.
So with that comment though, like their toolkit is always getting better. There's no doubt about that. But I think to my point is that if a 30-second clip in a movie costs $2 million to make, I don't know, I'm just throwing a number out there, and then they have like a scene where that they're going to be requiring water physics, and then what I'm saying is the editing team or the well, it's not special effects team, it's just the editing team, has enough $2 million to do that 30-second too. They don't really necessarily making like a special case or thinking like, hey, we have to nail that, because it's like, and it's going to be good enough because the tools that we have to play with just
Oh, gotcha,
in and
yeah.
of themselves are good enough.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not going to be like this passion project where somebody spends a year of their life trying to fucking nail, which if you watch any of like the behind the scenes, like Lord of the Rings extended editions, they have like this, the Blu-ray copy that I have has an amazing like documentary of all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. And you could see like stuff that you just didn't even think about watching the film had people dedicated and like pouring their passion into for months to nail. I don't know if that happens in an editing studio. Right?
Yeah.
If they're just like, maybe change this,
Well,
hue. to
perfect
this.
example. So from that same documentary, Captain America, the visual effects guy was talking about how there's this one scene in the beginning where they drill down the ice to get Captain America out of the ice, and the director was like, I want the light to be like a perfect cylinder coming down. And the visual effects guy is like, that isn't really how light works, but I'll figure it out. And so he had to really work out how he could make the light come, and it looks beautiful. But now you could probably just, make it in
Mask it area,
Unreal
boom,
Engine
boom.
5
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
To your point, Billy, I was like, if you look at like any documentaries on like how movies are made and stuff, they used to make movies around a set piece where they would be
Yeah.
like, this is the selling point. They would spend like their whole budget on something, and then they would present it and be like, this is the movie you're getting. And then they might get enough to finish it. Like they would like, what's that movie? Oh God, I'm forgetting but it's about, Moses, the original one where he parts,
he parts
the
the
sea.
sea.
10 Commandments.
Maybe it's 10 Commandments.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Moses' story is called the 10 Commandments. Who would have thought?
Imagine that.
Ben-Hur.
I almost said Ben-Hur, but I was like, that's not right.
Lawrence of Arabia.
But
year one with Jack Black.
they did the parting the Red Sea like thing, like that was their set piece, and then they made the movie around that.
Huh.
And so like there's like these whole things where they're like, this is the one we have to nail. This is what's gonna sell this movie, and then the rest just can be okay.
Yeah.
And
And it's interesting because there's pros and cons as there is with anything, of moving off of this model and more in a more editing heavy production studio. It makes it to where smaller guys can compete and create something that's visually on the same level as a big budget studio that can actually do stunts and stuff. So there's benefits, but with how studios are funding these projects these days, where everything is risk reward, what's the return on this
Yeah.
project? It is kind of interesting that like I'm not sure there's a lot of like films being created. Like I wonder, we just watched Oppenheimer, right? I wonder like when that old crew of directors sort of retire out and stop making films, like who's a young and upcoming director that's really sort of
Denis Villeneuve.
yeah, he's
what's one of his, I can't
Blade
remember.
Runner
Blade
2049.
Runner.
Okay. That was pretty
Dune.
good. That was pretty good. Dune. Okay, visually I like Dune. I thought it was still a half of a movie, and I can't wait to see the other half. But regardless,
He's definitely old school in the way Christopher Nolan is, but he's also very comfortable mixing in CGI. When Christopher Nolan's very like, no CGI, we will do
True
this
artist.
practically. But that's why his films will never age.
yeah,
Any film that he have, like it can be watched at any time because that the technology he used is not going to be any more advanced 20, 30 years
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
now than it is right now.
Well, if
But-
he does use any CG, it's very minimal.
Very, very minimal.
and I'm not even saying that that's like the right way to do it. I just think that a younger director that can come up and appropriately use these tools,
Yeah.
right? Of, hey, yes, we can do this, for X amount of dollars, but it would be way better if and I'm sure that they have these conversations, but like someone who really believed like, hey, let's push CGI to the next level in this film and not just leverage the basic toolkit that everybody else has access to, but like, let's really nail this scene.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even, that's the thing too. Maybe that's tough in a film because we've all seen films where like there is one or two scenes of CGI where you're like, that looks amazing. And then there's like 3 or 4 others where you're like, what the fuck were they doing there? Like, it's kind of jarring versus if you do things in a practical, you just built a set. Now you can use that set.
Yeah.
You can't really redo that with CGI, right? So again, pros and cons, but it is kind of interesting. It's moving from special effects people to,
CGI,
neckbeards
yeah.
who are video editing this thing.
I remember Christopher Nolan was talking about the nuke for Oppenheimer. He was talking about how he did it and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And He's like, I've done a nuke in film before, but it was the only thing I've ever done CG, and I've always wanted to do it for real. Because he's talking about the Dark Knight Rises.
Do you think
that
he-
nuke in the Dark Knight Rises was CG, and he did never liked that.
do you think he put in a formal request to use a nuke?
I don't. That's pretty wild.
Like who do you make that call to?
He's like Tom
Mr.
Cruise
President?
of special effects. Like he has to do it. Like,
I need a nuke. I mean,
I
I told
have
you
to
guys
have
after
a
we
nuke.
saw it, I was convinced. I was like, give this man a nuke. Just let him set it off so we can see it.
What a terrible precedent that would set if they were like, this guy's really cool in Hollywood. He wants to make a film.
Let's detonate a nuke.
Let's have him have access to a
how
nuclear
could you? I mean,
bomb.
you'd have to get permission from like global sanctions,
Yeah.
like the UN, and like I mean, you can't just.
like, hey, we're doing this for a
You
film.
can't just launch a nuke for a movie and be like, "All right, we're good,"
And then like how
and scene. You're like, you know what? I didn't like the angle.
Let's do it
launch-
again.
We need to launch another one.
Shit, we didn't get it. Dude, that would be that'd be crazy. Oh man.
I
I
left
wonder
the
if-
cap on. Just go on the
That had to
camera.
have been a serious conversation at some point, like jokingly serious. I bet you somebody.
I
was
bet you
like,
the-
hey, would it be crazy?
Would it be
Would it be?
They call the president. So
crazy or what?
You tell me. Is it crazy? Oh no, we
It
can't.
is
we
crazy?
definitely
Okay,
can't do that.
okay,
Oh, shit.
okay.
I think the extent of the conversation probably went along the lines of how big can we go before it becomes a problem.
probably
I bet you they had that conversation for sure.
Yeah, probably.
Like-
How big of a bomb can we set up?
legally detonate for
Like
a
what
film.
it was mostly it was all TNT,
Yeah.
right? And then they created this prop where
It made
looked
it climb.
and it made it climb in a way that looked like a nuke, and then this like kind of thing caught it, so it formed a
Looked
bubble
like
at
a
the
mushroom.
top. Yeah,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Even that's crazy. Like, hey, we're gonna blow up a big ass like flame that's gonna.
they use like forced perspective. I think it was something only like 20 feet tall or something like that, which is still like you know,
2-story home.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I just think it's kind of funny. Mr. President. So I'm making a film. Hear me out.
He has the president's direct number. Hey, Christopher. Oh,
Making another movie. All right,
Anything you need, I'm here.
anything for entertainment.
oh, you need a nuke? Oh.
I'll see what I can do. Let me talk to the UN.
Like, what if?
Let me alert Putin.
What if? Yeah. What if Russia sold him the nuke? Could he use it?
Like, what if I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm
too.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think there's some
Can't buy
laws
that on
being broken
eBay.
here.
One or two, I think.
You
yeah.
go into the dark web, buy a nuke from Russia.
Oh God.
I don't know why, but when you said like from Russia, I pictured like a nuke that had like Russia written on it, you know, and it made me think of Captain America. That one part where he has all the bombs,
New York.
and like one says New York and one's in English, and they're
Yeah.
German, and I'm like, that's the only part that I'm like, okay, that's a little cheesy, but
He's a comic book villain. Red
Yeah.
Skull.
he's not
Tropey.
He lives on being tropey.
So I want to dive into our next topic here.
Yeah.
This is a good diving point.
It is. Although I did just want to add the one thing that really excites me about moving from practical effects to CG. I still love practical, and I think they should be used as much as they can. But CG allows us to have some crazy stuff that is closer to like. That's why I love animation so much. Is you can get stuff that you can't film. Like you can't have, like Goku. That you wouldn't be able to make it. They tried to make a movie; it was horrible. But you wouldn't be able to make a movie with him flying around and doing
No.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
But with CG, you can have Godzilla, a whole movie about him.
Yeah.
That's so true. There's so many benefits. Like, think of the quality of content on YouTube alone. Less this channel because we're
Yeah.
it's just not there. But like, you go and you watch any of these. There's some content creators you watch. It is like a film. The
Mhm.
way it's edited, the way it's cut, and it's because those tools have have gone from the enterprise level to just like any other product, right? There's a product cycle, have just gone and fizzled their way into mainstream where you can buy it for, a couple $100, and now all of a sudden you have access to a world-class video editing studio. And that's pretty amazing.
All due
Yeah.
respect to Christopher Nolan. Obviously, we gush about him all the time on the show, but he could not make a movie like Avatar.
No.
No.
He could not even make a movie like Avengers Endgame.
Two completely different
he's
skill sets.
it wouldn't be the same movie. He wouldn't be able to do it, or Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to make that movie because of his
What
principles.
would that look like as a Christopher
It would
Nolan
be
film?
it'd be the Japanese Godzilla films
Yeah.
where there's a dude in a costume
Honestly,
on a scale city.
That would
if Christopher Nolan made a Godzilla versus Kong, I can
he'd
tell you
find a way
right
to
now,
make it good.
it would be like probably one of the best written films of all time. But it wouldn't be.
Black and
It wouldn't be the kaiju fight. Like, it would be like obscure, hard to see.
random
like
cuts.
like you would like everything would be. It would be much more of like a thriller.
It'd
like
be that one movie where you never actually see the beast, right?
yeah. It would. It wouldn't be Godzilla and Kong throwing Mechagodzilla through a skyscraper and like
Double teaming gravity
doing
charm.
wrestling moves. Kong ripping his head
Yeah.
off and screaming. Like it wouldn't be that for sure. But like I was thinking, even like simple things. Like I don't know why when you brought up anime, I instantly went to Edge Runners.
Yeah.
Every time he uses like the Sandivistan, and he has that trail behind him and stuff. Like what would that look like? Not animated.
That would
Fog machine.
Like that would be not as cool. I
No.
think just a human trail. Like,
The Flash.
we've all. I mean, I don't know if you had a chance to see the Flash running and see like the way Flash runs in the new Flash movie. It's really bad.
Yeah, I've seen all the memes come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's coming from a guy that actually thought the movie was pretty decent, but the CG was really bad. But I don't know why Ezra Miller decided to run the way he decided to run, and
Well,
everyone
wasn't it-
encouraged him to do it
He
that
said
way.
it was inspired by like speed ice skaters.
Yeah, but he doesn't look like he's speed skating.
I know.
Like,
don't.
just look at like Apollo Antonono. That guy looks cool. you know,
Not.
he's always kind of I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he kind of ran like that in that movie too.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is, but
That has the best Flash scene in a movie by
yeah.
far.
Oh, 100%. Anyways,
Yes,
Topic.
let's dive into live service games.
I can talk now.
You can.
no.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about Spider-Man real
yes, I was just thinking the same thing.
Please, somebody
Can we
help me.
please get Spider-Man another movie?
quick. Yes.
He needs another movie.
Tom Holland and Toby and Andrew. Let's get 3 new movies.
Yeah,
I don't
you guys
think-
are making a joke, but yet you're still finding a way to fill up some serious time here.
I'm 100%
Yeah.
not joking.
Yeah, I'm serious.
All right.
Something new. Oh god, a new Spider-Man comes out every other month, man. Your pipeline
Hey,
is thick.
Across
Every other week would be better.
the new Spider-Verse just got delayed indefinitely. Okay, Billy.
Good.
I'm sad.
What does that mean to me?
I'm sad.
Maybe
To you,
nothing to you,
New Spider-Verse,
but to everyone who
indefinitely?
cares.
Yeah.
Everyone
Which
who- everyone who-
I'm in the minority. Clearly.
Everyone who means something.
It's been delayed indefinitely. Is that serious?
Yeah, because of the writer strike.
Oh, okay.
As soon as that gets
there's
resolved,
so much shit that's been delayed because of that. So
Yeah.
they'll be back.
we talked about that and what's going on there.
We did.
So
Yeah.
live service games. You guys, what experience do you guys have as a live service game?
Destiny.
Okay.
Diablo.
Okay.
Destiny is probably the biggest one I have.
Yes.
That's the one I have the most experience in is Destiny.
So, in general, are you for or against them, or just neutral? Like,
I
I
am.
know you guys are obviously have a single player tilt.
Yeah, I would say I'm neutral. I think they can be done really well. And I would even say Destiny probably isn't my most exposure. I get a lot of exposure on like mobile games. Like I played
Yeah.
this one Dragon Ball Z game. They're on their 8th anniversary right now and they're killing it. Like so I know they can be done well, and So I would say I'm in the middle because I know there's for every one that does it well, there's like 12 that just suck.
Yeah.
So
And neutral as well.
I'm neutral. My only real complaint with live service games, because I don't hate it for the same reasons that some people do, but my only real complaint is I feel like live service games, the storytelling gets sacrificed a lot
yeah,
in live service games because they're constantly like, rather than trying to think about what makes a good story, they're trying to think about what makes this, what gives this longevity.
what keeps you engaged so
Yeah.
that you want to come back?
Yeah.
And that, for a gamer like you, that's kind of like on the back burner, as long as
Yeah.
the game's fun.
So I'm going to pick on Diablo 4 here because it's kind of the most recent game that we
Yeah.
all played. That is a live service game. And I think it's also just an easy point to meme on.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I mean, add on another game that does live
So
service.
Spider-Man?
great. Fortnite
Fortnite, yes.
does live service amazing, and I mean it might not be for everyone,
Industry standard.
but you can't knock them for their live
No.
service. They are
They've maintained an audience for a very long time. We
Yeah.
were playing the no build, and there was like at a random Wednesday, it was
100,000 people.
hundreds of
one
thousands of people in
playlist.
one game mode. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about live service games, and I'm going to talk about what I need from them. So I don't take a neutral pro con. I don't take any stance. I want the game has to prove it to me. That I won't judge it on a surface based on any model or genre.
Yeah,
The game
I would
has
say
to
the
be
same.
fun for me to engage with it. That's bottom line. But I'm
No.
I'm making a call out to live service games to be fucking better. Because if you expect me or you're demanding time and money, two of the most valuable currencies in existence, time and money,
That's wise.
you have to provide more than what they are. And Diablo 4 I think is a great example of almost being there but just totally whiffing on a lot of the quality of life stuff that makes me want to play a game. I am sick and fucking tired of having a game designer come down and like have this opinion of how they want their game to play and function and sort of live and die on that. Implement things that are fucking fun.
Yeah.
That is what I want. Hello, hello. Yeah, we're online again. You can test it. Can you hear us? Yeah. Okay. I don't know when it went back. When it went
Wah,
out.
wah,
That's a
wah.
huge bummer.
Dang.
How long were we gone? You
I
were
don't know.
getting so
I
passionate
know.
too.
Oh, I feel like I was on a roll. Maybe one of you wants to go back and see when it went out. Maybe my whole live service.
Is there a timestamp
You-
on the?
No, well,
Message?
just go back on there. Oh, 8:41, so 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
So, okay, where do I don't know. Yeah, you want to just scroll and maybe find it. But basically, I'll just reset it up. Basically, what I'm saying is quality of life needs to be in the forefront of how you think about. Look, I appreciate it. I definitely was very passionate. I was getting on a heater.
His
But-
hands were going. You know?
Okay, so quality of life has to be foremost and forefront in a game that is entirely based around the end game experience, right? Like, yes, you could replay the campaign. Again, that's only going to be once or twice
Yeah.
where you're not interested in that content. So I need quality of life improvements on these games to keep me interested. And time and time again, I see these games fail this. And I feel like their metrics are off, or maybe it's a design choice difference, or maybe the bar is so low right now for collecting because the audiences are so large that they would just rather appeal. They don't feel like that's important, but it's little things like being able to respec your build on a whim, that I can save all my stats and there's no risk. I can one click a button and shift back into those stats and test something out and experience something new.
Destiny has loadouts for you. I mean, as much as it's, it has loadouts for the classes. So you
Yes.
could do that. You could save it and then go, I want to try something new.
There are games that do live service very, very well. I will say MMOs, which Destiny is an MMO light, if you want to call it that.
We don't need to have this
We
debate.
don't need to have this debate. They've nailed it, and they've kept an audience for years
But-
because of it.
I would say no, they have not nailed it. And especially at the beginning. Maybe now they're better. We played it for a little bit and stopped again because we kind of went through all the content.
Their formula, the proof is in the pudding for me. Their formula works, right? Because they still have hundreds of thousands of players that
True.
play it every update.
But and I think Diablo, I'll ask you this, but they fall in the same barrel of nerfing anything that's fun. I don't know if they do it anymore, but Destiny 1, anything that was fun, nerfed instantly. And it was like, so you could never have fun in the game.
So,
And I feel
again,
like, isn't that going in Diablo?
That's exactly how
Yeah.
Diablo. And again, that is bad end game design because they hurt player. They're looking at the wrong things. They oftentimes this is actually a point that I was going to get to later on. But oftentimes the development studios will look at the 4 or 5 fucking idiots that are exploiting the game and breaking the game, and the one build and then they totally kill a class, or they totally just like reduce things that don't matter. To like bring it in line, and they kill the player experience.
I
Yeah.
think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said something beautiful. You said maybe they just don't care. I think that's actually like if they're making money, honestly, unless
Don't you guys have phones?
I don't think they give a fuck.
That's the same
honestly.
company.
That's why when you look at these indie games that blow up like BattleBit, and that kind of thing, a part of the reason why their communities are so huge is because they are still like in that phase of we care about the player because they're still indie. They're still
and they're passionate about the game.
they're passionate about the game.
They're not doing it for money.
They're doing it
Yeah.
because they want to play something that they love. You look at, Diablo, as much as we loved that game, Blizzard isn't exactly known for putting the player first.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but isn't the hard thing creating the game? Like making the fucking game, and then the systems are like ancillary pieces that they just can easy wins.
But I think at that
You created
level,
an amazing experience, a fun game to interact with.
at that
They
level,
missed
they
this.
have a whole nother department probably that's all about monetization.
Oh,
That's all
absolutely.
about player engagement.
Everything
That
they
is-
do has
that's
to go
what I'm
through
saying.
a
They're-
focus group.
Yeah.
They're
Like-
valuing the wrong thing. But what I'm saying is, if you want to have like these it's Diablo, right? So they know they're gonna have 10 years of success with this thing because That's just how Diablo's. That's how they've gone, right? But they're not that far from making it an incredible experience. The build templates, that's one of the pieces. Respecking. Why does it cost money to respec in a game that I want to try out and just kill monsters? Like, okay, it's a gold sink. Find a better way to make a gold sink.
Why
I
does
could
there
think
need to
of
be a gold
15
sink?
Yeah.
Well, I agree with that. There's like an entire science of like maintaining economies in these games, and you do need some, but absolutely, totally agree. Like rethink. It shouldn't hurt you from playing. The gold sink shouldn't hurt you. Shouldn't be a tax on you trying to find better engagement with the game.
One of my favorite gold sinks in games is upgradable settlements or like your house.
Home instance.
Like Witcher 3. Blood and
Corvo
Wine.
Bianco.
Corvo Bianco. Love it. I know
Yeah.
it's a gold sink because that's all you're wasting money on cosmetics, but that is one of my favorite things.
Give me that, but let me play around with the 5 basic skills that I want to try out and test.
I just want
Absolutely agree.
romance options
Oh, God.
in every game.
In Diablo, yeah.
I would
Lilith?
be down for some romance options in Diablo.
So I'm on a roll because I want to keep on this topic. So
Okay.
Pinnacle Farms.
He's like,
okay?
stop making jokes. Move on.
Dude, I'm an unstoppable force right now. Pinnacle Farms. If I have reached the apex of this game, okay, and I'm farming Lilith on repeat, okay, there's only a couple classes all classes have beat it at this point, but there's only a handful of builds that have done it. If I'm able to accomplish that content, reward me for it. The rewards are like no different than if you killed a dungeon boss. I think you maybe get one legendary item guaranteed, but it's random or whatever.
Yeah, it's still. That's
They have
stupid.
these uber rare unique items in the game that are basically like mathematically you're never going to get one. I think like 2 people have gotten a Shaco out of the 30
I got
million
one.
player base. Yeah, oh, nice.
And then I stopped playing.
And then I was like,
I don't even think
What is
anyone in
this?
the U.S.
Dismantle.
even has one. And you think of like the millions of hours that have already been accumulated on this game. It's unfathomable. If you're farming the pinnacle content on repeat, and this is done poorly in almost every game, and I never understood it. If I am achieving the highest level in this game, and it's incentivizing, and all that shit is account bound anyway, what is the negative impact to letting me min-max gear my character so that I can continue that grind to have fun? Give me the best gear. I should be getting like 30 legendary items that I can maybe stat select or items that I can use to infuse and make even better. Like I beat the game. There's nothing left for me
Yeah.
on that character. I
Well-
beat the hardest content.
I would argue that's one of the reasons I like single player games because you can get the best. You can find the best armor, loot, and you can, usually there's a system built to upgrade it, and it's achievable.
it's very clear when you've capped,
Yeah.
and but then you're losing what that game is.
But
Yeah.
in a live service game, I understand why you might not do that in like an MMO where there's a tradable economy. But in a Diablo game where when you reach that point, there is no trade market for these items because they're all account bound. What is the negative piece? So that's my one piece. I want to see more like editable UIs. This has bothered me since the dawn of time, and I brought this up constantly. How can I not play around with the shit that I see on my screen? If I want my fucking minimap to be half of my screen, why can't I do that? All right, it's player preference. Give me options.
this is coming from your experience with Guild Wars.
Guild Wars 1.
Guild Wars 1.
It had the greatest
A
user
huge
interface
customizable HUD,
Mhm.
and so you're kind of stacking everything you've ever played against that for good reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just feel like if you're going to demand that I play, or not demand, but offer a product,
play.
offer a
Demands
product
your
to
obedience.
me that basically I'm going to be expected to play hundreds of hours in. I should be able to stupid fucking things like have a health bar above my character head. Why can't I do that? I have this thing down in the left corner But I don't want to look at my skill bar. I don't want to look at my health. I want to look at what's happening on the screen. I want to be able to dynamically shift how I'm playing. Oh, my stun lock. Okay, I need to get out of this. Oh, I have an elite charging. Oh, what affects does he have? So I got to play the situation differently. That's what I want to do. Things like debuff bars. These don't exist in games anymore, and I don't understand it. How you could be stunned, but there's like no indicator of what's stunning you. Are you crippled? Are you stun locked? Are you frozen? It's not blatantly obvious. There's no debuff bar of what's affecting you. And you should be able to hover over it, and it gives you a tooltip of like, hey, you're affected by vulnerability. You take 25% more damage. It should all be spelled out to you because that's what's going to make you play the game more. If you understand the core systems more, you shouldn't have to go and find some nerd on YouTube that's back of the napkin figured out like what these modifiers are.
I have the key.
Yeah, it blows my mind. They should lift that skirt up and share that with the community.
I like that analogy.
I know, lift that skirt up.
Absolutely, man. Show me the goods, baby. And then other like fun little we live in a world where we share content, right? Not everybody is live streaming or recording or has that set up on their computer or their PS5 and stuff like that where they have all these clips highlighted. Why isn't there like what was it called, Kyle, in what was it called in Black Ops or whatever, where they had the studio where you could go and like view your recordings?
I'm literally over here like
Like the
sneezing,
theater?
and that's when you decide to call me in.
Like the theater.
Was it the theater?
The theater mode.
Okay, theater
Yeah.
mode, right? Why isn't there that built into these games just organically? Like, hey, when you killed that boss, we're gonna save that 15-second clip. Hey, you died in hardcore mode and your character's permanently wiped. We're gonna show you the last 30 seconds so you can get back and review the footage.
I think games
share it
just
online and
assume
stuff like that.
I think games just assume that
That's a terrible
technology
assumption.
that I know. I'm just saying. I think that games just assume that technology that you're using has built-in recording, like capture, like PlayStation, Xbox. They all have like,
Yeah.
you just hit the share button if you do something cool, and it saves like the last 30 seconds footage, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I can understand that, but again, this is another feature that we had and we've lost over the years.
Yeah.
We don't have access. There was like 2 or 3 Call of Duties in a row that had that theater mode. Now it's unheard of. It's like how are they shipping Call of Duties that
Did
don't
they have
that?
more than just? I thought theater mode died with the first Black Ops.
I felt like
That
it
was-
was
no,
in like 2 or 3
That was in
games.
so many games. That was in all the Halo.
Well, I mean Call of Duty
Call of Duty
specifically.
specifically. But I thought it was in like 2 or 3, but it
I-
might have just been in
I
the
kind of
one.
stopped playing
Me
after
too.
the first Black
Me
Ops,
too.
so I wouldn't know actually for sure.
But like, how is that a feature that was rolled out and like we just never see it? Like, if you had an option where you could go in and see like 15
Money.
clips, well, it's stupid.
Money,
It doesn't make sense to me.
money.
Because if you had an option where it's built in, you could have like funny clips and you could just share it right from there onto a Twitter. We're back now.
You missed my funniest joke of the.
That you can't recreate it.
No, you can't.
It was too good. Kyle's joke was
This cord gets tapped.
by Billy's aggressive hands.
It's gonna like Tenacious D. I'm gonna talk about how it's like a tribute to the greatest joke ever told.
Are we back online? I think we are. Yeah, I see it. I see the audio bumping.
I'm getting sad
See,
now.
but the issue is because I have this huge list of shit that I'm trying to get through.
And you're getting
I'm
so.
tabbed over onto the other tab, and I don't get to watch. I need to stay in production mode. I need to not talk as much and let you guys do the talking.
No,
And just
I love seeing you
think-
get
Take my
passionate.
Do you think I got this kind of passion for live service games? Absolutely not.
because I come from a world of live service games.
Yeah.
I've invested. That is
Well-
by far the bulk of my time in gaming.
And would you say so? Guild Wars was developed by a semi-indie, like it's a smaller company, right?
Way smaller.
And look at they have pretty much all the things you were talking about.
Mhm.
They have actual good rewards for stuff, like you got the freaking cool cosmetic thing for the challenges you did. They have the customizable thing, and that's because they're a small development team that cares about what they're actually making.
Yeah, and it wasn't a pay to win game. It was only cosmetics that they sold, and
They just want to make
I
a fun
love
game.
I loved their model, and they just wanted to make it. And it came at the cost of never being able to market the game effectively, so the game never like fully grew.
I mean, they got a Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars 2 and expand. Did you know expansions like coming out now? No, you didn't.
I didn't.
Well,
They
it's
d-
not
exactly,
like
they don't
MMOs
have-
are really on our radar, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking to the wrong people about this.
If you're a Guild
right.
Wars player, you
Yeah.
know.
But you're talking about like the fourth most popular. I mean, like the average player, but like I guess they calculate it differently. Like unique accounts is 250,000, but active concurrent players is probably like 50,000. I don't know. Regardless, there's the hard part of creating a live service game to me is creating the game, and they've all done that, and they brought an audience together.
Careful.
And created millions of players playing their game. Diablo 4 is a great example of this. Everyone was hyped and they loved it on release. And then they found ways to fuck it up. And then as more people play this shit, they get tired of these systems and they're like, oh, there's no end game. It's like, what do you want me to do? Just, there's the campaign's really good. It's like, no, I'm not grinding the campaign.
The campaign in Diablo was like okay.
Yeah.
But it
It's
was not
it's
like
never about the campaign.
it's not like it was like I gotta play that again.
To me, it's just such a simple fix, and I don't know why it gets missed. I really don't.
I'll use that. Did you go through all your topics?
I did. I don't want to
Okay.
tab off this
I-
and fuck up the audio.
I'll use that to segue into I think the big reason why, Billy, especially with Diablo and even Destiny might be better now. I can't speak on it, but live service games, especially from big companies, is it's a big company, and to them, they aren't passionate about making the game. I'm sure there's developers in that team that love making that game.
Yeah.
But to them, it's about bottom line, it's about money, it's about time. What's the most efficient way for them to make the best dollar? But there is a game that's been blowing up called Baldur's Gate 3, and that's made by a passionate company, Larian Studios, and it's really popular right now. I know we were going to talk about that.
Kudos to them.
I know.
They've built. So they came out and made an official statement that they are absolutely having 0 transactions in their game. You can't buy a cosmetic. You can't spend any money. And they mentioned that they feel as though it breaks the immersion within the game. And for like the first week, player base on Steam at least grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. I think it almost hit 1 million concurrent
It knocked
players.
out Apex
That's crazy. What do you mean for all-time high? Wow.
on Steam.
Wow.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. I'm curious about the PS5 launch is like September 5th,
Yes.
I think.
Since
It's coming
Yeah.
soon. And then will it be crossplay at that point?
maybe, but
I don't know.
Divinity isn't. So I don't know why they would.
Divinity Original Sin is not?
No.
For some
I'll
reason
look
I
it
thought
up.
it was.
No, otherwise Dylan would have been playing on
Oh,
console,
that's right.
and he would have actually played with
He
us.
would have actually played with us. I think I honestly want to give Baldur's Gate 3 a chance because I love the studio. I really do. I
Yeah.
love what they stand for, and I think it's a
It
fun
won't
game.
be on launch.
On launch? No.
So never.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It just said on launch.
Who's they? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
PCinvasion.com.
Oh, totally reputable.
It's,
But it's like a totally. I feel like so the success of this, like money talks, right? Money moves markets. The success of this, the success of Elden Ring, Final Fantasy 16, which probably, I don't know about you guys, might win Game of the Year over
no, Breath of the or
whatever.
Tears of the
fuck-
Tears of the
Kingdom?
Kingdom is
thank you.
100% gonna win.
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You don't think it has a shot? Final Fantasy 16.
I mean, it's good, but it's not on that level.
No. Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom is gonna win for sure. I mean, what other competition does it have?
Baldur's Gate 3. Well, okay. Starfield, Spider-Man 2. It's gonna have some heavy hit.
Wow, that
Heaters.
is a wow.
That's
Dude,
true.
When Elden Ring won, it was like that and God of War. This
Yeah.
this has actually been a pretty good year for release. Not gonna
And
lie.
Armored Core, depending how good that is too, is coming out end of
Wow.
August.
That's good, but I don't see it like.
Unless it blows our socks off, Elden Ring 2.
It's
That would have
not
to
like
be
that's
epic
not their
crazy.
flagship
Yeah.
IP, so I don't think that they're really expecting it to win Game of the Year or anything. But
That's crazy. Those are
I
big
still
titles.
think Tears of the Kingdom, just based on it's Nintendo, like I feel like they give a slight edge to Nintendo, but it is an
'Cause they're an
amazing
indie
game,
studio,
and
and-
yeah, they're small,
They're
you know,
small. They're cute.
they're passionate, you
Yeah.
know, they
yeah.
Well,
they
are
also
passionate
don't
about it.
believe in copyright. They're really good
Very
with
generous.
just
Very generous.
letting people use their properties.
100%.
Take it from here. You heard it from us.
I feel fucking depressed after giving my passion speech.
Well, let's talk about Baldur's 3.
I'm not
'cause
depressed
I am
about
excited.
that. I'm depressed that some of your best points were made when there was no
I know.
audio.
I think the context got through.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they could read your
By your
red
hands.
face and your hands.
It might have made
and-
better content, to be honest.
Hey, look at this guy.
We have somebody in the chat chatting with us because I was muted. So there you go.
That,
You're
yeah.
welcome. We got to engage with the audience.
Because
So I'm
you
gonna
were
mute.
muted.
I'm gonna mute more often. But Baldur's Gate 3, I honestly was really not probably looking forward to.
I never played the first two.
I never played the first two.
The first two is totally different though. It was BioWare, I think, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was not.
That is correct.
It's not the
I remember
same.
now.
It was not the same type of game that Baldur's Gate 3 is.
Yeah, Larian was given the title. I love what they did up to the release of this, of how they did early access, and they've been basically. I think that this came out on Steam like 3 years ago in like 2020, and they basically have only let you play like the first act, and they've been refining everything since then. So I love the developers' cadence on this whole thing. I love Divinity Original Sin 2, even though it was turn-based, and I typically don't like that, but there was such a depth to the combat that I was like, this is really neat.
A lot of strategy involved.
Definitely a lot of strategy. Baldur's Gate 3 is like that, but it's also dissimilar in a lot of ways as well. It's much more D&D-esque, which I don't know.
Baldur's Gate is actually
D&D lore.
set in D&D lore.
Yeah.
So
And there's like dice rolls, critical fails.
Do you guys know how many hours of
Oh, God. 300?
cutscenes there are?
300.
178.
Nice.
Sounds like my kinda game.
178 hours of cutscenes.
that sounds amazing.
So I honestly think, like, if you guys are even remotely interested, I am definitely down
Romance
to, like, get in there
options.
and play.
Yeah.
Yep,
You
sure.
can have romanced with a bear,
Ah.
Yeah.
That's the most famous
I've
one. right now.
always wondered what that would be like.
and you're soon to find out.
Oh, I will. Believe me.
But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I want to play it. I do wish it was crossplay because I'm sorry,
Get
Billy.
a better PC.
I wouldn't even say it's the PC as much. Now that I'm thinking about it more and more, it's just the whole
Convenience.
where I'm sitting on the desk. Like, I'm not used to playing a game there. I'm used to sitting how I sit with my, the
Controller.
TV. Like, I don't even think I could play a game on like a lounge couch. I'm not used to that. I'm used to a computer chair that's kind of like in the middle of my room.
There's nowhere I couldn't sit if I enjoy a game.
I mean, maybe I
Like-
could, but there's something about that. Like, I like my spot.
I played all of Dark Souls 2 on the fucking floor in his living room. No back. And I remember there were points where I was like, I can't move my spine because it hurts so bad. on your hardwood floors.
Oh yeah.
With my PS3 going every time I turned it on.
But what I'm thinking, Billy, is if I can, I'm gonna try and do how you have your PC set up to your TV, and maybe that'll work for me.
Yeah,
I'll look into it.
because you have a flat screen in your
Yeah.
room, so you could just run like a
HDMI,
20
right?
footer HDMI, and then just get a wireless keyboard and mouse, or just run controller. I
Yeah.
wonder if is controller supported. It's coming out on console, so I imagine there's
Yeah.
controller support for it. We're an hour and 12 in, if you were wondering.
I was, but I wasn't going to
Oh.
make it awkward for all of our
now
millions of viewers.
No, it's so awkward, dude. We should shut it down. I should have gone on mute. But I'm actually kind of excited that you guys are a little hyped for it or excited for it because
Yeah.
I think I definitely want to try
It looks good.
Now,
It looks fun.
I'm gonna admit 100%. The biggest hurdle for me in that game is gonna be the
Turn-based.
combat. I
Don't like turn-based.
But you liked the board game that we played.
this is the weird thing. I don't get it. I like Pokemon immensely.
Yeah.
I liked Final Fantasy. It's something about how they do turn-based, and it's a big hurdle for me.
You like the South Park games?
Once
wonder if
once
it's
I get into it, maybe I can then.
I wonder if it's
I don't
because
know.
you're waiting on me and him.
No, I tried to play Divinity by myself
Oh, you did?
before you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why
And
I
he
knew
didn't
about
like it, and then he
Oh.
still sold it to us.
it. Yeah,
He's done that quite a few times.
Yeah.
You did that with Dark Souls with me.
Yeah, and
so-
you ended up loving it.
Yeah.
So.
And then I get way too into these games, and then these guys don't ever.
I
play
stuck with
me.
you in Dark Souls.
We finished Dark Souls for sure.
And-
We finished Act 1.
Yeah,
of
and I
Divinity.
stuck with you in Divinity, but it was a mutual thing where we stopped
That
because
was
of
so
Dylan.
much fun. Yeah, I know. And then starting Act 2 just felt such like a hurdle at that point. Yeah.
And Dylan was like, "I'll play again." Never again. Famous last words. We got pretty far in Elden Ring co-op too. We got like most of the
We were smacking up bosses.
yeah. We got most of the great bosses. We
Yeah.
beat Rykard. We beat Radon. We beat Renala.
I-
we
I love that mod.
We actually-
so much.
we stopped because I think that was right around the time Diablo came out, Diablo 4.
yeah.
But we were getting pretty far actually in Elden Ring co-op.
I guess
that.
there's a mod for Baldur's Gate 3 that makes it 8-player co-op.
Oh, dude, there's so many mods for that. Like, it's insane how many. Like, Larian Studios has a lot of cool core mods.
But where are we gonna find 5 friends?
Let's figure it out, guys.
Somebody,
yeah, 8
please.
per player. That's crazy, actually.
Right? Especially in a game like that.
Wonder if you could do split screen. Like, I get my wife to play or something. She wouldn't.
You know, I think they might have split
Yeah, she
screen.
would.
I think they do.
Maybe.
I've kind of remember reading something about it. I'm not 100%
Knowing
sure.
their studio, they probably do.
Oh.
I mean, I think Divinity had it. Well, Divinity had it, but it was just the way the game functioned anyway. You just switch the character, you know. And,
Yeah, you could
and then
literally
played it.
switch controllers.
Yeah. So,
Swap keyboards.
yeah. Baldur's Gate 3, I'm glad that they're having some success.
Yeah.
And that's just their. I mean, that's 1 million concurrent players. Like, so they probably have sold 10 million copies, 8 million copies, and then the console launch goes, and they sell. I don't know if
Even
it's
more.
more popular. Do you think so? I don't know if that type of game is
Yeah,
more popular on console.
I think
or
it'll
not.
still be popular, but I don't think it'll be like it'll match Steam.
But it's like overnight, you've generated, a couple $100 million.
Yeah.
So they can fuel their next passion project.
I know what that feels like.
You do.
Is
I
that
do.
why the top button's down on your
Is
shirt
it?
there?
Oh,
He's
wait a minute.
hey, he knows.
Straighten this up a bit.
Any final topics here, boys?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
I've been playing Ratchet and Clank on PC.
Oh,
Yeah, what's your experience?
is the optimization any better?
It's an okay port. I think most people are just super hyped to have a Ratchet and Clank officially on PC, and they're not emulating the old ones. There have been a couple points where I actually I've been completely bricked. But they have like features that are kind of cool. I got stuck in a loop, and I tried for like 5-10 minutes. I couldn't physically get out of this area, and I went to like reload a save, and when I went to do that, it said skip puzzle.
Yeah.
It was like the only game
Yeah.
I've ever seen that had a skip puzzle, and I was like, oh, and I clicked it, and I was like right where I wanted to be, and I'm like, this is awesome.
I hate when games are like skip
Oh.
puzzle or when they're like press this button for a hint, and I'm like, I can fucking do it. Like,
See, okay, I do like the skip puzzle though, especially for repeat replays of a game. Spider-Man,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I dread Mary Jane's missions.
yeah.
I'm like, I do not want to be her. I want to be Spider-Man.
Well, that's also my my one complaint with the Spider-Man game is I didn't find the mini games very fun.
Yeah, the match,
Like the-
lines.
The connectivity games where he's
But they did add option to skip those.
yeah.
Just
So
not
I guess
the Mary Jane.
that's
mission.
okay. I get more upset when like it presents the option to skip when it thinks I'm struggling.
Oh,
That's when I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. I can do this, you know?
Or they like God of War. I think they did at launch. It was bad, but I think they turned it down. The whoever was following you would like give you a hint really fast on a
Yeah.
puzzle, like before you even got a chance. They're like, "Oh, I think you need to do this." And it's
What
like,
if we hit that boulder? What do you think will happen?
And we're back. This
And we're
is
back.
This
Okay.
has just been a lot of
You
fun.
know-
We've never had this issue before.
I
to
mean,
this
we gotta
extent.
just end
This is ridiculous.
This is,
Yeah, but you can find us online in a whole bunch of places where you can listen to podcasts, or you can also go on Twitter where Billy comments on some great stuff.
Thank you.
Or
You
no,
know what?
no, X.
bye. Let's just end
It's
this.
X now, right?
You're right. It is X.
It's X.
We need to be inclusive of that platform because they've gone through an identity change and we have to support it.
How long were we out that time? Hopefully, just like,
Like 15 seconds. I was
Okay.
watching it.
All
Yeah,
right.
I looked over here and then it went out.
I'm angry.
Well, I'm holding Dylan's hand because that's what I do.
We wouldn't like you when you're angry.
Oh, now I'm jealous.
All right, bye guys.
See ya.